I want to welcome you to Tips and Tricks to LinkedIn. Myself and David Kaufman today are going to show you some different things that you might or might not know about LinkedIn. But what's important is we want to try to help you to have a profile strength of 100%. We want to try to help you to learn something new in LinkedIn that you didn't know before, or to something that you can take with you. My name is Lisa Sasso, and I am the president of Medical Development Partners. It's an executive coaching company that empowers medical device professionals to achieve their personal and professional goals and live their lives in balance and in gratitude. And I'm the former president and CEO of Ratty Medical Systems, where under my leadership we grew from inception to $28 million in 5 years with profitability. And I work a lot with people in transition, and I was the past president. I was the second president with MDG, so the fourth president since. So I love MDG and work with many individuals at MDG and with MDG, and have served on the board for the past 10 years. And that's where I got to know and foster a relationship with David Kaufman. And I'd like David to introduce himself.
Thanks, Lisa. My name is David Kaufman. As Lisa mentioned, I was on the sponsorship committee, having run sponsorships for the Medical Development Group in Boston, with Lisa as my executive sponsor to the board. Eventually joined the board and worked in a medical device company with several folks from Medical Development Group, including Gerald Shapiro, who's here today with us on this call, and others. And it was really a very exciting time in my life. And now I work for a financial software services company that sells financial service software to the medical development industry, pharma industry, and really all other industries too. So I'll thank my company, Solium, who's giving us the space and the place to do this LinkedIn workshop today. Thanks, Lisa.
All right. Okay, without further ado, you should all have, do you have a LinkedIn screen up in front of you? You should have my profile up there, because I'm going to give this as a demo, because we can destroy it, we can take it apart, and I can always put it back together again. But I know for many of you, when you might not have the premium account. I do have the premium. I pay the extra $29 or $39. What that does is it allows me to see who's checked my profile. That's probably the biggest thing that it allows me to do. But there's not a lot of differentiation between premium and regular. But it allows you also to have more people that you can write to and do a few different things with. So for me, I value the premium, and but profile strength is something that I want you guys to look at your own LinkedIn profile. Is your premium strength up there like a 98 or 99%? Because if it's not, that's one of our goals, is to help get you there, get you to your highest strength. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to fill in the things so that your premium strength can be at a 98, 99%. The first thing, obviously you have your name, and if you have any MBA or any certifications after your name, feel free to put that out there. That differentiates you from other people. And in this day and in this age with the globalization, there's so many people with similar names, so you want your name to stand out so people know who you are versus other people with your same names. Secondly, when you come down to your title, you don't want to just put a title or a career. You want to put something that can, again, differentiate you. And And for me, I have executive coach, medical device professional, and I even put my website, because this way, in one swoop, if they're looking at my title, they get all of this information. And these little diamond bullets, these go a long way in attracting eye quality. There's something that if you just put a comma, people don't really look at it. But when you put a diamond, a dot, a serif, some kind of a hyphen, if you put something in there, it can really help improve the quality of your LinkedIn profile. So I would suggest that you try that. Then you come down here and you want to, most people in my profile are in the greater Boston area, and medical devices is the industry that I play in, and everybody on this call is in medical devices because that's my industry. Your current and your previous jobs will be pulled up from below, so you don't have to worry about filling in those things. And your education, that shows your latest education. So if you got a master's or an MBA, like I have an MBA, it's picking up Bentley. I have 2 undergraduate degrees. That's going to be viewed down below, but it'll show you your most current degree. Now, for view profile as, when you look at this thing right here, view recent activity. Recent activity shows you if there's something that, if you've liked something, if you've done something, if you've liked something or commented on something, it shows what you've done, so that you can go back and see what recent activity you've commented on. And that's your but we're still doing profile. So that's your recent activity. Ask to be recommended. So many people can't find this, don't know about this, and have never used this. And this ask to be recommended, I'm going to click on it so you can all see this. You can ask people if you want. This is my first boss at Bard. I got reconnected with him years and years and years later, and I just I said, you know what? I don't have any recommendations from my Bard years, and I'm going to ask Ralph. And he said, sure. And now he hasn't done it yet, so I can click to remind him, which I might just do. Watch, I can remind him. And what's the relationship? You're reporting directly to Ralph, manager, sales admin, can remind me, and I can push send. And it's just going to send him a little reminder that he offered to write me a recommendation. Really fast, really quick, really easy. And you can see where you've received recommendations, where you've given recommendations, where you've asked for recommendations. But again, recommendations are so important, and they really beef up your profile. And a lot of people don't even know that exists. And so I would strongly recommend on your profile that recommendations be something that you have, and something that you ask people for, and don't be afraid to ask them for it. Then the next thing that you need to do under your profile is create another. You don't worry about another profile in another language or saving to PDF. That stuff is not necessary to have an all-star ranking. But this stuff is important. This is volunteer experience and volunteer opportunities. Many companies treat these almost as critical as job experience, especially if you're within or between jobs and you're doing things. You want to look at all these categories. Did you see how I clicked down on that down arrow that has honors and awards, test scores, courses that you might have taken, patents, supportive organizations, projects, interests? All of these things are right there at your fingertips for you to take advantage of. And all you have to do is simply click on them and add that section to your LinkedIn. You want to put that right in, and it would show up right on your LinkedIn profile. They're just boxes, and it's like specially designing them for you. And so all you would need to do is simply click on the box that's relevant to you, and that information comes out directly to you. So then you look down here, and the next part is posts. Posting is so important, yet not everybody does it. You can post the status updates in their posts. I'll show you when we go to the regular page how to do a status update. So if somebody doesn't know how to do that, we can do that. But this is a post, and each month I do a different post, and it's a picture and a little summary, and I have my own thing. Mine's Enjoy Summer Now, Transition Now, Orange Now. I'm part of the Now group, and that's what I do. Everybody does their own thing, but you can post other people's things. You can, you should like other people's information, because this is all going to help you in your rankings for how things are done. And to write a new post, all you would do is click on Write a Post. You get your sheet comes up here. You can see I've already got Thanksgiving ready. It's going to be Thanks Now. I put my picture in here. I write my headline right underneath, and then I'm going to put the text right below it. Save it, and I can send it out in time for Thanksgiving. So you can pre-plan these things. This doesn't have to be a last-minute, rush thing. This is something that you can schedule and plan. So, but posts are important, and posts are something that should be part of your regular daily LinkedIn routine. And I know not everybody uses LinkedIn every day, and I can't say that I'm on it every day, but definitely a couple times a week. And this is the next thing, that you have the space and the place to write a summary. So in your summary, this isn't my whole summary. My summary, if you click on it, it gives you the whole summary. And you can write whatever you want to write in the summary. Again, I use that diamond, and that diamond is there for, that diamond's there to signify, having somebody's eyes look directly to it to enhance the profile. And that then, but my whole summary is there. And then these things right here, you're able to embed video in your LinkedIn profile. I have 2 videos that are on YouTube. Unfortunately, the person that was holding the YouTube videos, their channel had an issue with it, and their channel got corrupted. So that's why these are just sitting there like this and are not connected. But I'm getting the videos back into my YouTube video now that I have my own, and these will both have the videos embedded to my own YouTube video, and I was hoping to have that for you this morning to show you, because it's very easy to just get their code and put it on here and make that work. But even without that, you could see the All-Star was still at like 98%. So, but that's just added things that you can do that really enhance your LinkedIn profile. And if you need help doing something like that, you can talk to me offline, because that takes a tiny bit of time. And without me having this working right now, I don't want to get into any more detail on that. Going through your experience, the best thing you can make sure you do is put not only your current title, company, but make sure you put the logo. The logo, find where that logo is on LinkedIn. Make sure that you have the appropriate logo information, because that's what people see when they scroll down your LinkedIn profile. They look for logos that they know. They look for companies that they're familiar with. That's what they're looking for. And they'll look for recommendations. They'll take a stroll through your recommendations and say, who's recommended Lisa, or who's recommended so-and-so, and they'll go down the list and they'll read through and make sure you have robust recommendations, and that you definitely have people adding new recommendations every month, or every other month, or even sooner. But whatever works for you, for your industry. And again, that ask to be recommended will go take you back up to that field, or you can go in the other way that I showed you earlier. But definitely take advantage of that that feature that LinkedIn offers, and it's a wonderful feature. So once you've put in all your company information, all of your logos, every one of these things, you can add a document that you've done. You could add a PowerPoint presentation that you've made. You can add video clips like what I have, or even a photo from a certain gala or event. You can add all of that. All of that does is it makes you more visible and makes you more real to your person. Look at your logos. Add all your logos. Citent. I've got MDG. I've got Bard. I've got, of course, my Ratty. But make sure. In Ratty, I don't have their logo, because Ratty is no longer. It's now St. Jude. But I need to. I could put St. Jude Medical, because that's what Ratty became. Or I could take an old Ratty logo. So I need to put something in for this, because it's like a missing link when you don't have a logo for a company. And then Bard is on there. And then organizations. Organizations, this could be under volunteer work, because I did it as a volunteer. I was an executive mentor for HBA and Bentley, the membership committee. You can put logos if you want here, or you can also make sure that you list additional organizations down here, and keep this up to date with organizations that you're coming in with. For example, I'm recently National Speakers Association. That's a group that National Speakers Ass. Nice. Is one of the new groups and organizations that I've joined, and I don't know what happened to my screen, but it's an organization that I'm proud of, and that there it came back on. I'm just gonna I keep doing the same thing. So now you can see how easy it is to add something to it. Here under certifications, I made sure I had the organizations that I had certifications, both the group name and the group symbol, so they would be listed there. You could add certificates. I have certificates for both of those groups. I just haven't added them as of yet. But that's another thing that I could do. This is a nice thing, skills and endorsement. I'm not sure how many people listen to this or like this or use this, but it's a nice thing when you get up and you get different endorsements from different people, and to know. I mean, I know that startups and entrepreneurship and medical devices and leadership and coaching are my top skills, but when you see it justified with 93 people and 74 people and X, those types of things, it's reinforcement, and it definitely is a nice pick-me-up, and it's something that acknowledges you for the skills that you have. So, and then so you can add more skills in addition to the skills that you have, and it's something that you can also acknowledge other people for the skills that they have, and people that you've worked with and people that you truly know the skills. I wouldn't endorse anybody that I didn't really know their skills, but if I've seen them and they exemplify certain skills, then I would feel comfortable doing so. Publications, I do have one publication, and that was something with my husband and I on corporate pricing and decisions. And Bentley Education, I have my MBA right here with a special logo for Bentley's 100th, so I made sure I had that, and for UMass Amherst, made sure I had that logo. And I keep all of my stuff there. You can put as much or as little on your LinkedIn profile as you want. I choose to put that, I'm not worried about putting my birthday. It's not the year. They're not gonna, and you might take a day or two before or after your birthday if you're worried about somebody knowing your actual day. And marital status, it's totally up to you if you choose to put that on there. Advice for contacting people: realize this is your LinkedIn profile. People that are not connected to you cannot reach you just from your profile. So you have to, in your profile, put, email lsasso@meddevpartners.com, or visit my website at www.meddevcoach.com. You have to put these things into your verbiage, your summary, your contact page. You need to put those things in, because if you don't, there's no way that they're going to find you. And so it's up to you. The onus is on you to take the time and to really make that a priority, to make sure that your contact information is bold, is big, and is present. Now, you can add honors and awards if you ever had any special awards from school or from work or from whatever. It's important to put them down there. Now that we've done all that, I'm going to take you back up to go back to the top of your thing, and we've done profile. I want to take you to the home page for a second, because your recent activity, when I said share an update, and I'm pretty sure all of you have shared updates in the past, but I'm just going to show you we're going to share an update. And I had actually two. I'm on a live LinkedIn call showing real time how easy it is to do status on their profiles. That's a real that's a real-time status update that I could give people. But tomorrow is a showcase in the med tech world with mathematics, and I will be attending the mathematics med tech showcase on Friday. And will I see you there? And I can put that on this, send this out today, and I say, will I see you there? And I put the link to showcase, and that nicely puts the picture of mathematics med showcase, and I'll share that. And you can see that's nicely shared, and so that's going out to my people, and I have about 858 people that I'm linked into. I could have thousands, but the people that I am linked into are people that I know. It's people that I know who they are, their status, their schools that they went to, their families. I know who they are, and that's important to me. I don't just link in with people just for the sake of linking in. I link in with people so that I can help them, so that I truly know them, and I can get them to the next level or the next layer that they want to be in. And I treat LinkedIn as a tool to help me help them. And this way, if people get linked in with me, I can use that to help them get connected to people that I really know, and I can make sincere connections to people that can really help them. So that's my little spiel on LinkedIn. Everybody feels differently. Some people just link into as many people as they can and as many people as they want to. I will make a commitment that I can connect to you and will connect with you, but just as long as I get to know you. So you can send me a LinkedIn invitation. I will hold it in my LinkedIn connections until we get to know each other, and once we do, I'm happy to connect with you. So that's the way it works. So and I hope that you can respect that, because that's the way I can give the most to my my clients, and that's the way I can be the most true to my clients. So, and now to upload a file, we don't need to upload a picture here, but if this wasn't a picture and I wanted to put a picture in with what I was doing for a skill, you could use this, upload a picture like this. Then you could write your summary of what you're doing, and then then you could send it off and write an article. We already talked about writing an article. So that is the major big picture overview from me on how to improve your LinkedIn profile. And I'm going to turn it over to David, because David's going to talk about how he uses LinkedIn and what he does with his LinkedIn stuff. And I hope that was helpful for an overview.
Thanks, Lisa. Can everybody see my screen? Hopefully so. Are you seeing my screen, Lisa?
Yep.
I use LinkedIn about 4 or 5 times a day, I would say, on average, because I use it for business and I'm constantly using it to search out potential clients. I'm in sales. I need to find people to talk to about their company, about their financial software situation, whatever it is. And I'm using LinkedIn as a prospecting tool. I'm using it as an educational tool to help me learn about those people that I might call on. As well, I have friends on LinkedIn. They ask for recommendations. I use it to keep track of where they are when I want to call them or send them a note. I can do that right through LinkedIn. So I find LinkedIn to be very helpful to me as a great giant online Rolodex. And as such, many of my friends that I've worked with or happen to know are qualified in various different things. So I've just put in Gerald Shapiro, who was a former partner of mine at a company that we started together. He was also on the board at MDG and may still be, and he's very active in the medical device community. So I know Gerald, and the first thing that happens when I put in his name is it popped up and it said, do you want to endorse him? And the answer is yes, I want to give Jerry some endorsements. So it will also ask me, do I want to endorse other people I know? Also from MDG, like Alan Kivnick and Ray Sean Payne, and other associates of mine from other parts of my life, like Van Smick. So I say, yes, I will endorse these people. And when I've given out a few endorsements, I'm done with that. It just takes a second. You can see where other people have endorsed them, including me, because I just endorsed Jerry for several different items in his background. So it now pops up that I'm on his endorsement list. As Lisa already talked about that, I don't need to talk much more about it. But when I'm looking at an individual to potentially call on for business, I'm looking at where they went to school, what companies they've worked for. I'm looking for those logos, as Lisa mentioned it. I'm looking at what responsibilities they've had, where they've worked. Maybe they were a former client of my company. Maybe they're a current client of my company. It really helps me to connect with them at some base level that might be more than just a cold, hey, how are you? This is what I do. Are you interested? Sometimes they went to a school that I might have gone to. I didn't go to Michigan. I wasn't smart enough to get in, but I went to Wisconsin, another Big Ten school. And I see Gerald's gone to a couple of Big Ten schools. So when I talk to him, I might say, hey, aren't those Wolverines really something else? So I have a little bit more information than the average guy who might be calling on Gerald to ask him for a minute of his time to be able to pitch their product or service, or themselves if they're looking for a job. So whatever it is you're out there selling or pitching, any more information that you can gain from that individual to help you achieve your goal is a great thing, I think. And I see also Gerald happens to know a couple of people that I know, like Neil Barron and Judy Isaacson. So there's a little bit of commonality in our friends set. which is not surprising because Gerald and I were working on medical development group together. But if I'm just going after somebody I don't know necessarily, I'm looking for those little hooks and those little tags that help me identify with that person a little bit more closely. So that's how I use, for the most part, that's how I really use this tool set. If I'm looking for a finance person, which I'm always looking for, let's say I'm looking for a finance person at M&M Mars Corporation. So I write in finance and Mars. And here, all of a sudden, this guy, Daryl Mordew, Senior Portfolio Finance Manager at Mars. So here's a guy who has a name and a portfolio, and I'm quickly looking at what qualities might help me connect to him. Looks like he spent his entire career at Mars, which is awesome. He's got some nice endorsements. He went to University of Liverpool, so maybe he's from Britain. I don't really know, but it looks like he might be because he's also in the chartered institution in London, probably of financial executives. He went to school in Liverpool. Looks like he might have done a couple degrees in England. So I have a little bit of information before I even call him. Didn't turn out that I had anything to do with University of Liverpool, but maybe my best friend went there, and maybe he knows him, or maybe they went to business school together. But I'm looking for some hook, and I find this is a fabulous search tool to help me do that. So I can use the advanced search tool to find people that live in a particular city, that have a certain word in their profile. Maybe their name is Larry. I want to call somebody named Larry. I want to see if he's CFO. He might have worked for Kellogg's. So I'm going to look if there's anybody named Larry that worked at Kellogg's. Oh, there it is, VP of Finance. In the history of this gentleman, his past was the VP of Finance at Kellogg's, Larry Beyer. Now he's Chief Financial Officer at Simply 8. So I may want to call Larry. I have a great idea that I think will be appropriate for Kellogg. Or here's a person who was a senior auditor at Kellogg, Larry Koronofsky. Maybe I want to call this Larry, or send him a note, or connect to him. Maybe I worked at Kellogg's in the finance office, so that's a really good way for me to find former folks that I worked with. Anybody have any questions so far? Can I make this part of the presentation more valuable? This is basically how I use the system to help me in my job. If anybody wants to raise an issue or send a note through the little text window, feel free to do that. And I'll try to help make it a little bit more valuable in that way. If not, I'm going to go through a little slide talk presentation that was prepared by another gentleman who I'll give credit to in a minute. If anybody doesn't have questions about that, I'm going to jump into a slide talk that was prepared about LinkedIn from a gentleman named Dimitri Mastrocola. He's in New York City. We asked Dimitri for permission to show his slides today, and he was very, very gracious and gave us permission to do that. But he created a very nice LinkedIn presentation, which he says is about 90% still valid and accurate, even though he produced this just a little while ago and presented it. He's an executive recruiter, so he has some best practices to talk about when using LinkedIn from the perspective of a recruiter. So we all know, well, let me get this right here. LinkedIn is the world's largest online professional network. I'm not going to read every bullet point on his slides, so you can read these on your own as you like, and you can read them faster than I can read them to you. But the key is that LinkedIn is this magical tool. It's really unique. I don't think there's anything quite like it. They got into this game a number of years ago, and I probably add 2 or 3 people a month, maybe 5 or 6 a month to my profile. So now I've accumulated literally a couple thousand people over time because I've been using it for that long. And I go to a meeting or a convention and I add 2 or 3 people in one morning, and I add 2 or 3 in the afternoon. All of a sudden these add up, and you end up with these great networks that are very large and extended networks. So if I want to talk to somebody that's Gerald Shapiro's former employee at a company that's now in New Mexico, I simply have to ask Jerry for that recommendation to be able to talk to that person. And if he feels inclined, he can actually introduce me along to them. Now, I'm careful about that. I try to use those kinds of extended invites very carefully. I don't try to abuse them. I use them very slowly and when I really need them, because I don't want to wear out my welcome, and I don't want to always be kind of spamming people about these kinds of extended invites. So I'm careful about it. But it allows you to create those kinds of relationships and maintain them and keep track of people, where they are. They may have moved 2 or 3 times, or they may have changed 5 or 6 companies between the last time I worked with them and now that I'm talking to them. Or maybe they've gone to a new continent. I don't even know that they're now in the Hong Kong office of their company, but I might see that on a little note in LinkedIn. So-and-so just moved from the Swiss consulate in Boston to open up the office in Shanghai. That, for example, is a real case. I had a friend that ran that office in Boston. He moved to Shanghai. So I was able to say, good luck on your expedition to Shanghai. Hope to see you there sometime. And LinkedIn allows you to really maintain those connections. It's kind of like Facebook is for your personal friends and your kids and family relationships. This allows you to do the same thing with your business relationships. So it allows you to keep that level of connectivity. So there's a lot of opportunities to create your profile, which Lisa did a beautiful job of explaining and helping you to keep update on your profile. It allows people to search for you and find you inside of LinkedIn, which is very important for recruiters. So if you keep yourself up to date, recruiters who may be looking for someone for the next job in a particular company, they can see the skills that you have and say, wow, this person would be perfect for that kind of job. So they'll reach out and talk to you. And frequently they will do that without even asking, because they have a premium membership like Lisa has, and they're allowed to approach you without a connection or without an introduction. As long as it has a meaningful question, they can ask you that question. I think if they use it too much and they aren't fair about it, they could get that privilege restricted. But as long as you're careful and you're courteous, LinkedIn will be a really nice tool. And it can help you connect to, like they say, 70 million people. It's probably even bigger now, because Dimitri said these slides are a little bit out of date. But there is a huge amount of people on LinkedIn. It is really a one-of-a-kind kind of a tool set. It's the great social networking tool for business. About half the folks, it looks like, are outside the United States at this point. So lots and lots of opportunities to connect with people in the country and out of the country. And you can also let your existing contact base, if you have a Hotmail account or a Gmail account or your Outlook account, LinkedIn can scan through that account, if you let them, and look for connections that are already in your world, and then allow you to invite those people into your world. And you can do that on a regular basis. You can also do it when you start up the first time. It's up to you to decide, or never do it at all. I think I did it when I first started, and I then got all of a sudden 300 or 400 connections, because I already had all those people as friends. They were on LinkedIn, so they said, yes, I'll connect to you. So I started with 300 or 400, and then I've grown it from there, and now it's over a couple thousand. So you really can do quite a lot. At this point, I don't really send out a lot of invites. I might do a couple every month at this point, because I don't really need more connections. I just want to connect to people who I've met, who I know. If they really feel it's important to connect to me, I'll accept that sometimes. Sometimes I won't. Like Lisa, I kind of feel like I should only really accept the people that I know and would be comfortable recommending along, or helping them get recommended to other people that I do know. So I try to be a little bit careful about who I accept into my network. If I absolutely don't know who they are or why they've connected to me, or through some alumni group, or through a professional organization, or through some kind of a reasonable connectivity pathway to me, I don't accept their invite. I just leave it hanging until I can figure out why I know them or how they work with me. And I might even write them a note saying, why do you want to connect? Can we talk? And I've called people that I don't even know and talked with them about that first. So you can also do a little bit more of crafting your own particular profile. Lisa talked a little bit about that. I don't really need to. We're going to keep these slides available on Lisa's system on the YouTube, so you'll be able to read these through in advance. You can also go to Dimitri Mastrocola on LinkedIn and read these slides directly yourselves. So feel free to do that on your own. I do put LinkedIn on my signature for my corporate emails occasionally. Our company allows you to do that. And sometimes people link to me directly off an email that I might be sending to them. So you just never know where people might find your LinkedIn profile and link to you. So that's always helpful. I think Lisa mentioned about photos. It's a good idea to put a professional photograph with your LinkedIn profile. You can connect to people when you're in meetings, if you're at a conference, if you're at a social event. I'll tell people, hey, you can find me on LinkedIn. And as long as they can find me on LinkedIn, then they can send me an email message and we can trade emails. So if you don't have your business card, it's just a real quick way to mention to people how to keep in touch with you. And as I said before, lots of connections just come through natural day-to-day life experiences. So Dimitri suggests that a rule of thumb is you multiply your age by 10, and that's about the minimum number of connections you should be aiming for. I just say aim for as many as makes sense for you. Some people have thousands, like a recruiter like Dimitri might have hundreds of thousands of people connected to him through his business. I have a couple thousand. It's probably more than I need. Some people will be happy with 50 or 100. It really doesn't matter. It's for you. It's what makes sense to make your life work easier and better and improve your business life. So whatever you think is appropriate, that's enough. If you need more connections, start networking more. I think that's probably a more realistic way to meet people in person where you have a real life connection. But second to that, an online connection is really helpful. It's better than no connection at all. So you can make your system what you want and be known properly. And Lisa again covered about what's important to brand yourself and how to identify yourself inside of your profile. So fill out as much as you can. That'll help your rankings to become that all-star that Lisa talked about. You want to try to get as much information in there as you feel is appropriate it is for people to know about you. And you can put keywords into your profile, things that you've accomplished, systems that you've worked with, software that you understand, jobs that you've had, responsibilities that were ordered to your desk, things that are really important about you that you've done help make you far more interesting to somebody that's reading your profile. So I'm looking for all of that information when I quickly glance at someone's profile. What have they done? I don't care because I'm not recruiting them for a job. I'm just looking to sell something to them. I just want to see that they've worked on products that look similar to the ones that I sell. So they're not just total newbies, but they really will get it when I call them. And if they haven't, then I know I'm going to have to do a little bit more explaining. Maybe I'm going to set 10 or 15 minutes extra aside when I talk to them. So how do people find you? They'll look on search engines, and then those kinds of things will get linked right to you. So if you have the keywords that are in your profile, that's going to help people find you better. And you're going to have a link that sets you individually onto LinkedIn, so your name's going to be in that link typically. So it helps you kind of get noticed, and when you pass that link along, people will know who you are. Hopefully they'll remember your name, and if they didn't, they can use that search engine and find you. I'm not going to talk about recommendations. Dimitri covers it here. Lisa talked a little bit about it before, but recommendations are nice. They're helpful. You don't need 50 of them. 5 or 6 are great. 3 or 4 is fine. Whatever you have, you can always get one fresh one every now and then, and that helps make it look nice. Update your status is a good idea. Keep it fresh when you change companies. Within a month or two, remember to go ahead and change update your status so that people know you've changed companies. They can say congratulations. It keeps you looking fresh. You don't want to be like a company or two out of date on your LinkedIn profile. If people are looking for you, they want to know that you're still active and working on your profile. It's helpful. So you can also watch for others that change their status. If somebody all of a sudden changes into a company that you want to do business with, perfect time to congratulate them and say, by the way, can you keep an eye out for an opportunity for me to talk to the finance VP, because that's what I do. Or just say, hey, someday I'm going to be over there and let's have lunch. I'm going to be talking to your CFO at some point. So it's a great way to connect to them on their turf when you happen to be in their neighborhood, if that works out for you. And there is a great advanced search tool. We used that for a minute in my last little section, where you can look by company, by region, by name, by area, by their college, by, you know, all kinds of things, keyword. It's a really good search engine tool built right inside of LinkedIn. Joining groups. I'm kind of mixed on groups. I was talking to Lisa about this the other day. For me, groups didn't make a tremendous amount of sense. There's a lot of noise, a lot of activity, there's lots of discussion. Some of it's really helpful for people. Some of it probably is just a distraction and a waste of time. I found for me, it was more the latter than the former, but I'm always looking for a very, very specific kind of person when I'm using LinkedIn. So the discussion that was going on typically was just taking up a lot of time for me, and it wasn't tremendously a value add. But for other people, that discussion, the going back and forth, is the value add, and that kind of a tool is great for them. So I guess my point is there are sections of LinkedIn that can add tremendous amounts for some people and not so much for others. So you want to poke around inside of LinkedIn and explore each one of the sections to see where the benefits are going to come directly to you in the greatest number. So that can be really helpful. Posting news within the groups, again, that's totally if you're using the groups and you like the groups, feel free to post in them. You can put information in your postings that links people to you, so you can be careful about that, but it can be really helpful. I'm going to put this on mute for a second, and then hopefully you can hear me, but we won't hear background noise. We've got all kinds of opportunities to post inside of LinkedIn, but those groups are great places to do that. You can ask questions. People can answer you in those forums, and it can be very helpful to get things that you need to get done. So I'd say use those strategically. Be careful when you ask questions. Don't ask too many of the same individual all the time. Spread them around a little bit and kind of keep yourself and your brand and your name a little special. And you can answer questions to others. I know, for example, on some groups I'm on, they're really great people to answer questions. And you respect those people because they really think through their answers. They make them very strategic, very helpful, very pointed, very direct, very helpful for folks. And when you ask those questions, you're going to get great answers. I think the crowdsourcing mentality really kicks in, and it's really helpful. Applications, I don't really know much about this. Dimitri calls them out. WordPress, BlogLink, Google, SlideShare. SlideShare is great. That's where I happen to find this presentation. So I found the embedded presentation. I downloaded it, and here I am giving it to you. I did ask Dimitri first to use it. I'm sure he would have said fine, and he did. Even if I didn't, because he did post it publicly, and it was very clear. As long as I'm giving him credit for it and I put his name in here and I leave his logo in here, I think it's really fair because it is posted in the public domain to use it, but I always think it's really courteous, important, and essential that you give people the credit due for having created the work and done the intellectual work of putting together a salient presentation that you like well enough to share with others in a public environment, or even just to read on your own. If you have a really big question about the area that they're talking about, great opportunity to make a connection to them, and maybe you'll do business with that person who put that presentation together. All the polls and reading lists, things like that, best practices, you can take some of these if you like them and follow them. You can follow companies, you can follow individuals. When things change or things are new with those people, you're going to get some updates. These are helpful. You don't have to do them. I can find some things really helpful. I find some things, again, a little bit distracting and not that important to me. Dimitri's listed down some very nice places to find more information. So again, you can use this presentation as you wish to get more information about LinkedIn and find opportunities to make the most of it for you. He oriented this a little bit more to lawyers, so he was giving this presentation to lawyers to help them learn about LinkedIn. We're giving this to all of you to help you make the most of LinkedIn for your particular case, whatever it is. And you don't have to be a lawyer to enjoy this, but some of these links are probably oriented to lawyers. Well, that's it for me. I'm going to open it up. Again, I'm going to unmute all. Everybody, it's open for questions. Anybody want to discuss anything? Anybody have an issue they'd like to raise or question they'd like to ask? Lisa,
Yep.
anything for you?
I just want to say a photo is worth 1,000 words. So for anybody that does not have a LinkedIn picture, you have to have a picture. Get somebody to take a picture of you and get that up, because I don't accept LinkedIn profiles that don't have pictures, and that's my way of telling them it's that important to get your picture out there. And another real quick and easy thing is the background. You can change the background. I don't know if a lot of people notice this, but you can change the background simply by clicking the top, and there's a couple pre-made backgrounds, and just by giving it a color, or you could put your own background or your own theme, but just doing those little things will help your profile, your all-star profile, to fill up. And in regards to groups, I personally belong to about 50 groups. Am I active in 50 groups? No, but I belong to them because they're my alumni or my different groups from different things. So it's nice to be a part of them. So if I do want to go on to post something or to read something about a certain group, I can do that. But it's just too much to keep up with. But it's nice to have the ability. So you can just be on a few groups and not be overwhelmed at all.